we go on to the match itself, right, we're going to go to that stats pack. Maybe we should start with the Monte Carlo, Phil, because that's the highlight.
Yeah, if you want, I mean, the Monte
Oh,
Carlo has Paris winning it 2-0 or 1-0. There you go. With 1-0 to us being 3%. There you go.
it was more
Uh,
likely that PSG would win 4-0 than we would win 1-0.
yes, I mean, I
PSG
think
winning
pretty
4-0
much
was a 5% chance,
yes.
uh, and 2-0 was a 22% chance. Just, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's I think it's the highest deficit in terms of probabilities of a win outcome this season. 78% Paris win that game in 10,000. Um, and it's definitely the first time we've been below a draw as well. We've come the wrong side of it in terms of win and loss, but never below a draw. I mean, 3.9% chance of winning that game in 10,000 is quite something to put as a scrapbook. Um, your top level stuff, I mean, there's not a lot of positives, but we'll go through it. 65-35 possession I've got. Penalty box touch is 51 versus 14. Field Till, an alarming 80-20 rounded up in their favour. The big one of the night was 27 shots to 2. 9 on target for them, 1 for us. Penalty box shots, 11 for them, 2 for us. 3 big chances to 1. More importantly, obviously, 1 goal to 0. XG 0.28 to their 1.83. That's been revised 3 times, so apologies if it's not quite in line with what your apps are saying. Threat conversion, we got to 3.32%, and then we kept them below 100, which is, considering how the game went, might be a slight positive to take away from it. We kept them below
Yeah.
80%.
Definitely a splits thing, though.
Um,
First, second half
yeah, there's
split thing, yeah.
definitely, yeah, the first half they're at 129%, 21% threat conversion. Second half,
Mm.
we got it down to 22. And obviously, because Ali was amazing in goal, and we scored from our only shot on target at PPDO, is 2,000 to us, 2-0 to them.
And just on for those old school stat heads who like me who love PDO, and I do like the fact that you put PDO in the dashboard. The fact it's so rare to get a team. The maximum you can have in a single game is 2,000, right? The maximum PDO you can
Yeah,
have is 2,000, and to have it, you've got to score literally every shot on target you have and save every shot on target the other team has. And Paris had 0.
yeah,
So what I mean, this is the ultimate edge case of football being just wild. You know, the
it
way the
is.
match result can be influenced in such extreme ways in football, as we know and love.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
I
But
think the stat to take away from me is if we were talking about Liverpool on the attacking side, Phil, there's a lot of people thinking, God, we really were crap on the transition and in the attacking situation. We made so many bad decisions. It is that threat to EPV to XG
yeah.
conversion. Do you want to just remind people why that matters and why that's such a great example of in this game of why we were bad and how it's a stat that shows why we were bad in attack.
So it's basically the relationship between how much threat you create and then how much XG. It doesn't quite work out 1 to 1. I think it's about 1 to 1.2, so like that. But theoretically, if you look at all the games over the season, if you keep the opposition below 50, they are very unlikely to score. And ideally, you want to be over 100 to
Yeah.
score anything in between those boundaries where you are. So for us to be at 32%, I know we didn't create a lot of XG, but a threat we created was 0.86, which isn't as bad as you might think. So that you should be expecting to convert a higher rate to XG. But
Yeah.
the thing to look at this game as well, which is why you can take a slight positive away from, PSG had 2.32 threat. They only create 183 XG. So we managed to do something, and it was the second half split to stop that threat
Mm.
conversion. Because the first half, they were converting their threat to XG, i.e., getting into threatening areas and then actually creating a
Yeah.
goal scoring action,
Yeah.
which had XG associated with it, a shot. They were doing that 121%, which is normally danger zone. If
Yeah.
that goes on for a whole game, you are conceding a lot of goals. Okay, that's
Yeah.
just how it is. So we got into half time with that being 0, barely I'm very fortunate, I would say, because that's not often you see that happen. Second half, for us to reverse that down to their threat conversion was lower than ours,
Yeah,
is something I would suggest that Slot has done very well. But we've said that throughout the season. He's good at halftime talk. He's good
yeah.
at halftime
He went
tweet.
full Mourinho the second half, definitely.
He did. And he also brought another midfielder on, was it Curtis about the hour?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Subs
he
made us better
changed.
again. Yeah,
It's talks about and Curtis's ability to keep the ball, which we said time and time again away from home, came through again. But yeah, our ability at half time to change, to
mm,
stop them converting their threat to XG, I think was one of the stories of the game.
yeah. But if you were as a fan watching that game and you were tearing your hair out as Jota failed to play in Diaz in the first half, or Dom and Mo and whoever it was were like the Chuckle brothers to me to you,
Yeah,
trying to pass, try and engineer a shot in the second half. And then who was the one late on when Mo failed to put through Darwin through? If you were tearing your
Dom.
hair out at those
Yeah, yeah,
situations, it's because we were in dangerous areas of the pitch. We were in a threatening situation, and it ended in 0 xg. So that's why your
exactly.
threat to xg, if it's as low as ours, what was it? To about 22%. Was it 22%? So yeah, yes. We only had two shots and point 3 xg, but we should have, by rights, we should have probably had closer to 1 xg with the
Yeah,
situations that we're in. But that's because
definitely.
we were shit. Our final ball was shit, and our decision making was shit. So
Very true.
anyway.
Very true.
So, Sai's going to talk some more about why we were shit.
Well, it's just statistically to break it down even more than that. I run a percentage of total touches that were in the box.
Yeah,
So for the whole game, but also for individuals, because really simple football is get into the opposition's box as much as you can, keep them out of your box as much as you can. We've got all of these great proxies now of expected threat, or that we that are more sophisticated versions of that. But really,
yeah,
simply, that's the thing you're trying to do. In this game, is the second highest percentage of opposition's touches. They had 70% of the ball. They had a lot of touches in this game, but 5.7% of their touches were in our box. They had 854 touches, for God's sake. That's against us this season. That is the highest. Who's second? City, of course. Yeah, City are second. So that's insane in itself. But of the highest number of touches against us, they had the second highest volume of percentage of touches inside our box. So we couldn't keep them outside our box. Can you guess which is the worst game for percentage of touches inside our box?
Does it involve City?
Man United.
Really?
at Anfield.
Yeah, which game makes you puke the most? It's a Man United game because they barely touch the ball and then get in our box. That's the worst version. But also, conversely, this is the second worst, lowest percentage of our touches, which were a terrible number of touches in the first place. We had 450 touches. And only once this season it's the lowest of the season number of touches, and it's the second, so the lowest number of touches we've had, and it's the second lowest percentages of those touches were inside the opposition's box as well, and the lowest is against who?
Arsenal.
Everton.
Oh God, of course, yeah.
See, so both of those games, they kind of play out in your brain. As soon as I say, oh yeah, we were shit against them. Oh yeah, we created nothing against them. Yeah. So this is both of those. This is the worst version. We played against probably the other best team in Europe, but the most attacking team in Europe. And I would go, if we relate this to American sports, they have in the NBA, they play lots of the teams basically shoot threes all the time. Brilliance of threes is that you can go on really big runs and get 15 or 20 points run where the other team doesn't get any. You get these massive scores, but also you can get a bit cold. And I see one-on-one dribbles as the same thing. They can get really super hot, and they look super sexy. And so all of a sudden, you've got fellas running past like they're going past turnstiles here. Nothing greatly happened, to be fair. but this was a really high volume dribble pass game. There's been a really high volume pass week, to be fair. But yeah, we're mostly preventing. It wasn't a high XG game. We're mostly preventing what's getting past that dribble. But they've got loads of dribblers that do lots of awesome dribbling and taking our players out and making them look like idiots. So that's kind of where their threat came from in this game.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Si. Hamzah, so the start of the game, I'd say the first 14 minutes, I was looking at the stats before, not much happened really. It was 57-43 possession. They had 2 very low percentage chances. And there was 2 things that really happened in my view, and just to lead into your analysis, is that first of all, there was a really bad square pass by Diaz that caused a really real period of instability. It led to our first big chance of the match. But also, after playing 10 minutes in the false 9 to not that much effect, they pushed Dembele over to the right wing against, and he immediately breaks the game open. And from that 14 minutes through to half time, I think it's fair to say they give us an absolute chasing.
Yeah, that's right. They have that big opportunity for João Neves, I think, where he hits the ball into the ground in the 16th minute.
Yeah,
but
that comes from the Diaz pass, doesn't it?
Yeah,
square pass. Yeah.
I think this is we've spoken before about how in matches last season and previously, Klopp wouldn't quite get the tactics right and he'd react and whatever. And largely how Slot has had the better of tactics this season. I think in this match, the intention was to play deeper and try to break. But we weren't able to do that because of the problems PSG caused, and we weren't able to really react in the first half. I think this is the first match where you go like definitively that we lost the tactics and we couldn't really do much about it. We couldn't do much to affect them in that first half. I think the second half is a bit, towards the end of the first half it changes slightly, and then in the second half it's a bit different. But yeah, what I treat slightly different in that opening phase because the way that PSG played, they had like a 3-2-5. But they would bring in Dembele. They would move. So the 3 was the back 3. So 3 of the back 4 from the left to the right centre back, and then Hakimi, the right back, would push on. So he joined the 5. But what he would also do is sort of drop a bit deeper, and Dembele would as well. So instead of just having a 2 in midfield, they'd have their 3 midfielders and Hakimi and Dembele there as well. So they're outnumbering our midfield. And that's why they found it a bit easy when they were actually advanced upfield and able to press us and counter press us when we won the ball back. So I think, that period after the 15th or so minute, or even before Dembele got there were signs of how our midfield was getting outnumbered and struggling to cope. But yeah, once Dembele moved there, and then he was combining with Khalique, there was real danger for them, and they were able to get into the box. But then,
Hamzah, one of the feature as well, right from that period, even that quietish period in the first 14 minutes, was us going long. We were not even entertaining any short passing at all, any deep build up. We were going long, and Virgil was taking goal kicks as well and going long from them. It was a really interesting choice from us. You can see why we did it. We're obviously very fearful of PSG press, and in the passing networks, there's not a connection between Virgil and Konate. I don't think I've ever seen that for us. We have no connection between the centre backs.
All right, the Reds, it's Jack here, and that was a clip from one of Anfield Index's audio podcasts. If you have enjoyed the video, make sure you do like, share, and subscribe to keep up to date on all things LFC. We record around 100 audio podcasts every month, with our shows featuring match-going fans, top journalists, professional analysts, and even Liverpool legends along the way. With the great Dane himself, Jan Molby, joining us every single week. If you want to listen to all our podcasts for free, head over to anfieldindex.com/podcasts. Our audio shows are available wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Anfield Index. Or if you prefer to listen to all our podcasts in full and without any ads, why not head over to AI Pro today to check it out now at AnfieldIndexPro.com. If you want to get involved in the great growing community of Liverpool fans, check out the Anfield Index Discord. The link is in the description. Do get involved with that from Reds around every corner of the globe. For now, Reds, hope you enjoyed this video.